The pinnacle of sports doesn't disappoint. Timberwolves, Thunder, matchup number 4 of the season. The Thunder had won the last two matchups and had the 2-1 series lead. However, in this game, the Wolves go into Oklahoma City and get the 6-point win over the Thunder. Made it their type of game, low scoring, grinded out, big time, slower game with great defense being played. And we actually executed in the fourth quarter. 34 fourth quarter points. That's where our losses have been really coming in the last several, including one against OKC 3 losses ago, where we completely collapsed and only had 15 points in that fourth quarter, and that was at home. What some factors before we get into the game as well. Mike Conley out on the Timberwolves side and Oklahoma City on a back-to-back. Both teams had just had a pretty bad loss. We lost to the Spurs, and the Thunder lost to the Pistons yesterday. And then in the fourth quarter, man, we get Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels making big-time plays to close it out. When those are the two that really capitalize late game and seal things for us, I feel at peace and in wonder, in awe, and in joy when those are the two doing it. Just I'm so proud of them. And it started with the Jaden McDaniels making a corner three with, I think, 2.5 minutes left. Then Anthony Edwards blow by on Jalen Williams for a big-time dunk where Shea kind of grabs his arm, no call, but slams that one down, just gets right down the center of the lane, just flying through it as he, and just about only he can do. Maybe like John Morant too, but this dude, man, is he special. Large stretches of the game where it felt like Ant was just kind of willing us through that one. And then that would put us up 4 after those 2 buckets from Ant and Jaden. And then Jaden McDaniels with really the dagger. There's a Anthony Edwards miss, I think it was, that Jaden McDaniels is able to tip in with the left hand. Grady with a great call. Called it, what was it, the Fro... Oh, the Fro putback, Fro something. Gosh, Jim Pete pointed out too is really good. One Jim Pete point that I want to echo and that I was thinking in the fourth quarter and I've been noticing with both Jaden McDaniels and Anthony Edwards, who can be outrageously good on-ball defenders. Their positioning is just poor sometimes. They don't give up the proper amount of space to elite ball handlers like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's going to get into their body, use their hands, and get foul calls and get to the line all the time. There were 4 foul calls on Ant and Jaden on Shai simply because they were just too pressed up and had poor positioning. And he talked about how Nikhil, he's got his hands back, he gives him more space, he knows he's long, so then he can propel into jump shots or just not get blown by as well, not foul as much. And that's why Nikhil can do such a good job. And Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels just get themselves in trouble with how much they press into people at time. They got to trust their length, their athleticism. They're thinking, oh, I've got such elite lateral movement that I can be this pressed up and I can make them really uncomfortable. But when it's people that can draw fouls like Shai, they got to learn to take a couple steps back. Well, not a couple steps, but give them a little bit more space and be able to use that athleticism in a more productive way, because Jaden picked up a lot of fouls doing that. They picked about 3 fouls in the span of less than 2 minutes, Shai did. 2 on Jaden to get him to 5 fouls, and then another one on Ant once he took the matchup. And Shai was spectacular. I was a little concerned about how he would close this game out with them getting into the bonus early in the fourth with those fouls and how great of a shot maker he is. But the defense was spectacular from the Timberwolves to close that one out, and we had the clutch buckets that I just mentioned. Karl Anthony Towns, liked the game out of him. Not the best shooting percentage night, but he did lead the team in assists with 6, and he was really making pretty solid decisions. He saw a lot of switches tonight with Smalls guarding him, and I think he handled those pretty well for the most part. 6 assists being the lead of the night. Mike Conley out, as I mentioned. That's a big factor there, but Nikhil Alexander-Walker has really stepped up when Mike has been unavailable, have really enjoyed his play. His fourth quarter scoring, when we've needed him to hit shots, he's been pretty good with that too. And it's amazing looking back on that D'Lo trade too. Like, D'Lo, who had an expiring contract and we would not be able to pay him, and then we get Mike Conley and Nikhil Alexander-Walker and I think 2 second-round picks. Like, that was a huge get. Man, did I curse Tim Conley a lot last year, but I did praise him for that trade, just not the Gobert one. But that has been such a huge trade for us. It's worked out so well, and I think Nikhil's going to continue to grow. Still a young player, and the Gobert trade it's looking better at least now. Gobert is more what we expected him to be this year. He's been very impactful. This game, beast on the board, 17 of them. I really wish he would stop trying to do anything in transition as a ball handler. I feel like the success rate on Rudy being like, all right, I'm going to do something a little out of my comfort zone. I'm taking up the break. I feel like the success rate's got to be 5%, maybe lower. He has a turnover to Anthony Edwards that he could have got the ball up ahead of him way earlier when it was a 1-on-2 and just screwed it up, and Ant was pissed. So Rudy, I would like those to stop, but normally he earns them. Not in this case. I think Ant got the steal, and then he turned it over Gobert. But usually it's Gobert gets a steal. He tries to do something in transition. Just here, other team, take the ball right back. Also, Jordan McLaughlin. He's the last person we absolutely need to talk about in this video. He stepped up big time. Had just 2 threes, almost 3 of them, but it was an extremely long 2. Doesn't miss from the floor. His final shot, he had 2 buckets in the fourth quarter as well. And his last make was just an outer right hand baby hook moonshot over Chet Holmgren that was so spectacular. Degree of difficulty through the roof. And just incredible play out of J-Mac there. He gave us the offensive punch that we needed. Big time. So helpful. And that's most of what we got. These Wolves Thunder games are always so fun. Series tied 2-2. No more Thunder games of the regular season. If we meet them in the playoffs, that'd be a lot of fun. It just makes for the greatest games. Even when we've sucked. Even when OKC has sucked. They're always good. It's funny. Hoping that J-Dub Jalen Williams is feeling okay. He tweaked his ankle, I think, late game and had to come out. Wish the best for him. He's a great player. That's about it. All right, next game is Wednesday against the Mavericks, and we will be home for that one. We've been on a bit of a road stretch here, finally getting back. All right, peace out.